All right, let's do an August update. I'm excited to show you what the garden has done this year. I've learned a lot, learned what not to do a whole lot, and what to do maybe again next year, and a few things what not to do. So let's take a look. So here's the left side of the backyard garden. I've got my hammock stand around the corner. We'll look at that here in just a minute. The big green bean bed, the two beds in the middle, and then the other bed that's partially cleared out in the back. So let me show you the hammock stand first. So I finished this out since my last video. The morning glories are going crazy on it. We've planted some ivy, and they're not doing all that great. The ivy's not doing all that great. I'm not sure if it's gonna make it. It's looking kind of bad. I'm not sure it's gonna make it. We'll see. But the morning glories look great. I finished this thing off putting these guys on, and it was our idea that we would put that the ivy would run up and then cover and then make some shade like this. So far, morning glories are coming up. They're just doing so slow. So next year we'd like to do something a little different. One thing I learned about this compost that we put in the garden is that it creates wonderful foliage on the pole beans, but just no beans. I mean, there's nothing up here. So every time it does one of these buds out, it just drops off. We've got a few beans, but not much. There's one right there. Here we go. So they're coming out a little bit, but not hardly at all. So I've got my marigolds. They did really well. Next year I want to pay more attention to starting those. Here are my tomatoes. These two tomatoes I started from, what are they called? Those little side shoots right here. Right here, that's what I started them off of. Whoops, and looks like we've got a tomato worm there. Let's see if I can get him in the shot. There he is. Yeah, so we're gonna make him go bye-bye. And so I'm hoping to get some tomatoes off of those. These Praxis tomatoes here. These things are really delicious, and there's a worm in that one. So this was not my main plant. This one just kind of came up really slowly, so we'll see what we can get off of it. It's got some green ones on there. Here it is, September, or I'm sorry, today is August. What is today? August 17 today. Today's not too bad warm. It's about 82 degrees right now. So here's my Bolita beans that I did a trial run for the Seed Savers Exchange, and that was a bust. They didn't produce very well, hardly at all. I mean, I got a ramekin full of beans, and that's about it. They were the first thing that the pests hit were these beans. They just struggled. I won't do them again. I'll turn my report in and let them know it was a bust. Here are the Betty peas that I'm really excited about. These are from my friend's grandma, the seeds she'd been planting for 80 plus years. If any of you guys want some seed, let me know. I've got to come in here and pick some more. I've been letting them dry out and saving them like that. I've not been picking any for, with the greens. I've just been shelling the peas for that. The rattlesnake beans did fairly well. I've just stopped picking them. I've let them go to seed. I'm trying to save seed on that, but they did fairly well. I'm going to try to plant again next year, and I'm hoping the soil will have lost some of its nitrogen in that. I started to get some cucamelons, picking some cucamelons, Here's an example of a cucamelon right here. So they've been fun to eat and grow a few of those. I probably won't do those again next year as well. Here is the butternut squash. They've done very well. I've been excited for those. Right in this spot right here, I started with spinach, but then I switched right after the spinach was up and going. I had some trial beans, and again, the beans just did not do well in this spot. Here's one that I just left, and I'm gonna pull it. Here is some the Cracker Jack marigolds that I got from the Praxis website, the Little Shop of Seeds. I'll try to remember to put a description in the link. I really enjoyed his seeds, and his seeds did really well for me. I just didn't like this marigold. It grew too big and too tall. I just let it drop and droop, and I just didn't care for it. It took up way too much space. But his seeds I really enjoyed his seeds. They're 55 cents. So shipping's like $4.50 or so. So make sure you get several when you're doing that. Here's a couple tomatoes, and then all of this was peppers until I hit the strawberries. So the peppers did amazing. They absolutely loved the compost. About every 4 or 5 days I'm picking peppers, and I've given some to the in-laws, given some to my mom and dad, and I've been saving and vacuum packing peppers for chili for the winter like crazy. Next year I'm planning on letting this whole bed go to strawberries, so I'm gonna move all of this here, and we're gonna put the peppers somewhere different for next year. These zinnias really did well. This is from American Seed from the dollar store. I think I paid $1/4 for a zinnia, and they're absolutely beautiful. These tomato plants, they did wonderful. I've probably got 20 quarts of tomatoes put up, and I don't know, maybe 8 pints, and I'm going to take the pints to work and share with my friends and coworkers there. The squash are done except for those 2 right there, so I've cleared this out, and my plan is to fill this area at the end of the month with spinach, because we really like spinach and eat a lot of it whenever we have it. So here's my mint. The mint did well, and I need to cut it back, and the peppermint. So that's spearmint, and this is peppermint. And then I've got my experiment with sweet potatoes. So when I went on vacation, I buried the pot that I had them in to keep them from drying out. So I'm looking forward to seeing when these die down, to see what happens, see if I actually have some sweet potatoes in there. I got these from Aldi, and I started them really late, and so I just kind of trying something this year. So if they do well next year, I'm gonna do the same. So there's Duralius. Say hi. So we'll see about that for next year. So you'll see the pipe there that pipes in the electric fence from right there. It goes underground and comes to here, and that way I don't have to step over it. So here is the cucumbers. They did really well this year, but they're starting to die off. I just cleaned out my compost bin, so you see the remnants of that. It turned out really well. I got a fan on it right now, drying it out. Here's some more beans I threw in, and they just didn't do well at all. So I'm hoping I'll try again, try something different next year. But the tomatoes did absolutely wonderful. So let's go out to the back. There's a mole trap. I've got a mole problem. Let's go back here. These tomatoes did okay. They're kind of a little weak, but I did get a bunch of tomatoes off of here. And there's the Praxis right here, the main Praxis tomato plant. Here they are. These are really good. I'm definitely going to grow these next year. Really tasty too. You notice that the bees are gone. Turns out I'm highly allergic, so I had to go to the emergency room and now I have to carry an EpiPen on me all the time, but they're gone. Here's the other tomatoes, and they're about done. And it looks like something's eating on here too, so I need to take some time and look for some more worms. So I'm really surprised that I haven't seen them before today. And there's my second compost pile right here. So my potato experiment were in these 3 buckets, and they just didn't do well enough. I probably won't do that again. Of course, I say that, we'll see what happens for next year. And the blueberries are just doing. They don't seem to be growing, so I need to layer those with some pine needles to give them some more acid, I guess. So that's the garden for August. So we'll come back in September and see what it looks like in September. See ya.